mostly forget that the reaction of war is in the DNA of European peoples who suffered terrible wars over centuries. So, the question we must ask ourselves is, what do we want to do to change this? We know that war is not stopped with more weapons. That's why we need to put an end to the arms race in Europe. After so many deaths and destruction, we want peace for Ukraine, for Palestine, and for all people suffering from wars. The world is watching. We cannot and do not want to be complicit. It's our moment to fight for peace, democracy, and dignity for everyone.
And for us, that is it's our duty to finish this panel with Palestine. So, Ambassador, Palestine, it's true that it's not longer in the headlines or open in the news, but the occupation and the violence in the West Bank and Gaza have not stopped. In fact, we have seen now the genocidal state of Israel is the first country since the Nazi Germany to legalize the death penalty only for an ethnic group. What is the situation like today, now that it seems that the world is looking away? And how can the European left keep the solidarity with Palestine alive when the spotlight fades? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comrades, on behalf of each and every Palestinian child, woman, young man and woman, thank you very much for your solidarity with Palestine. Without you, we would not have been able to persevere. So from here, it is our moment, and it remains our moment, and we need to make it always our moment, a moment for peace and justice, not only in Palestine, but all over the world. So I'm really grateful for your solidarity that has been essential for our people, and it has really infused strength in our hearts, provided us with the resolve in every moment in order to persevere and to remain steadfast on our land. We meet today while our people continue to face loss, destruction, and fear. Behind every statement and every report, there are real lives, families trying to survive, children growing up in extremely difficult conditions, and communities struggling to remain in place. At the same time, I must also say that with respect and clarity, solidarity is not enough anymore. We must translate this solidarity into action that needs to be adopted by leaders of Europe and leaders of the world. What is missing is really political will. The political will needs actually to be, translated into action. In Gaza, despite the announcement of a ceasefire, the situation remains extremely fragile. Civilian deaths and military operations continue. The scale of human loss is massive. Around 80,000 people have been murdered. These figures represent entire families and communities. It is neither realistic nor morally acceptable to speak of a return to normal life while accountability has not been established and the underlying conditions remain unresolved. The destruction of infrastructure is equally severe. Entire residential areas have been leveled, and hospitals, schools, and basic services have been destroyed. Gaza remains in deep humanitarian catastrophe. In the West Bank, the situation continues to worsen. Settler terrorism has become more systematic, with repeated repeated attacks on villages, burning of homes and land, and ongoing harm and death inflicted on Palestinians. The lack of accountability deepens impunity and instability. The system of unequal rights, movement restrictions, and discrimination reflects a system of apartheid that shapes every aspect of Palestinian life. Checkpoints, closures, and military incursions continue to severely restrict movement and access to work, education, healthcare, and basic dignity. The recent vote in the Israeli Knesset to introduce the death penalty, specifically for Palestinian prisoners, reflects a very serious escalation of the same apartheid and discriminatory system we live under. This measure comes in a context of already harsh detention conditions and documented deaths in custody. It raises grave violations of international human rights and humanitarian law. At the same time, we see extremist voices, including figures like Ben-Gvir, openly celebrating these steps, which further deepens fear of violence and dehumanization. We have also received urgent reports regarding the prisoner Marwan Barghouti, the leader of the prisoners' movement in Israeli jails, which point to a very dangerous escalation. According to his legal team, he has been repeatedly assaulted in detention, including a severe beating on April 8th in Ganot prison, where he suffered head injuries and was left bleeding for hours without any medical care, as well as further violent attacks during transfers and inside Megiddo prison, including an incident involving a military dog in his own cell. Taken together with earlier reports of repeated beatings, prolonged solitary confinement, and systematic denial of medical treatment, these accounts point to a sustained and escalating threat to his life in detention. What is unfolding in Palestine is no longer ambiguous. It is a deliberate offensive aimed at eradicating the question of Palestine once and for all. We have heard statements from the PM of Israel and his extremist cabinet members openly celebrating the expansion of Eretz Israel. In Gaza, the Golan Heights, and southern Lebanon, these declarations reflect a broader vision of Greater Israel as a hegemonic power that is an extension of the United States, which appears to be at the core of the thinking of imperialist powers in this world. In this context, the role of global social movements and solidarity networks is more important than ever. The question of Palestine today is not only a regional issue, but a global test to the credibility of international law, the rule-based world order, and collective security. Across the world, we are seeing growing mobilization from student protests in universities across Europe and the United States to large demonstrations demanding a ceasefire and accountability. The flotillas, the demonstrations all over are essential. Together, these efforts send a clear message of a growing global movement that is no longer willing to accept double standards. Collective security cannot be selective. It cannot exist while people continue to live under occupation, violence, and apartheid. The responsibility before us is not only to speak, but to act. Palestine is your litmus test. Thank you very much for your solidarity.
Free, free Palestine! 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 Free, free Palestine!
Thank you, everyone. Yes, we have reached the end of the first part, but before you go, as we heard, the world is on fire. Genocides, bombings, you can stand, yeah. Nuclear threats. Most of our leaders are silent, and that's why we encourage you all to join us here in Brussels on the 14th of June for the demonstration Stop Rearmament. Here it is, beautiful graphic. Join us all, bring your organizations, bring your rage, bring your hope. Let's stop rearmament and stop militarization. Thank you to the speakers. You may be seated.
But now,
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Oh, perfect. Should I be with you? Pa, 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 pa.
not so much.
Sorry. The music is...
Okay. Okay.
Nehmen Sie sich.
Hello, I'm Chiara. Nice to meet you. So we're gonna start. You tell me when. His name call you.
I explained. Yeah, yeah.
Then,
When the music is done, yeah, we go.
oh, well. All right. It's going to be really difficult to continue this after this really powerful panel, but please don't go to the bathroom or to smoke or something. There's going to be time after, because now we have another really good panel, one called Make the Money, Not the Money, Working Class Rising to Fight Austerity. The political document we just approved in this Congress is really clear. Austerity is a political choice. For decades, elites have put profits before people. Now they are selling us rearmament as the only solution, while cuts to public services and pension keep falling on the same as always, the working class people. Well, we say clearly, no thanks and no in our name. The European left says no to more austerity, no to more militarism, says no to more cuts. We need the opposite. An offensive for working class rights, offensive for decent housing, offensive for fair wages, public services. That is to say, an economy that serves the people and not the capital. And to talk about this, we have a dream panel. A people who fight from trade unions, from the institution, and from the streets. People who knows that rights aren't given away, they are won. So please, I'm going to call to the scenery, to Claes-Mikael, to Rena, Fabian, Janina, and Simón.
Bonjour, oui.
Thank you, all of you, for being here. It's going to be really difficult to try to describe their political trajectory in few words, but I'm going to try it. First of all, we have Claes-Mikael Ståhl, I hope to pronounce it well, Deputy General Secretary of the European Trade Unions Confederation. He's a lawyer specialized in labor and European Union law, specialized around collective bargaining, and also member of the board of the Swedish Labor Law Association and author of many publications about democracy, trade union issues, full employment, posted workers. Welcome, class. It's going to be open later. Next, we jump, okay, my order is a bit different, so we jump to Rena Dourou. I hope to pronounce it well, a Greek politician and member of Syriza. She served as regional governor of Attica, becoming the first left-wing governor of a region that concerns more than the third of Greece's population and wealth. During her term, she increased social spending to establish food banks, guarantee healthcare, reconnected electricity to tens of thousands of houses that have been cut off during the crisis. Καλωσορίσμα, Rena. Next, we have a person that doesn't need really a lot of presentation, but I'm going to try it. Fabien Roussel, National Secretary of the French Communist Party, and now also Mayor of Saint-Amand-Léon. He was member of the parliament for 7 years and also candidate for the French presidency. He's journalist and has long defended a left rooted on work, industry, and public services. In the National Assembly, he was a critical voice against austerity, pension reform, and NATO policies. And now, from his municipality, he is showing that another way of governing is possible. Merci de nous accompagner aujourd'hui, Fabien. Next, we jump to Germany, and we have Janina Böttger, member of the parliament and chairwoman of the Committee of the European Union Affairs in the Bundestag, as well as chairperson of Die Linke in Saxony-Anhalt. By trade, she is administrative management assistant, but her real passion, besides politics, or at least is what is written online, are sports and mountains. And let me make a big disclaimer, because I'm also a lover of mountain. I encourage everyone here to bring back mountaineering groups to our political organizations, because mountains are political too. And it's one thing that class struggle and peaks teach us, it's that together we can go farther. Willkommen, Janina. And last but not least, we finished this panel with Simón Maljevac, Minister of Solidarity-Based Future in Slovenia, also sociologist and LGBTI+ right activist, and also was General Secretary of Levica. Her ministry have rather modest responsibilities, such as social policies, ecological transition, decent houses, the institutionalization, and fight against poverty. In other words, basically everything that some of us would like to call build socialism. And in the Balkans, that's not a small thing. So, dobro došli, Simón. Okay, so let's start this second and passionate panel with Claes. While we were preparing this event, we shared a lot of information about you, about all of you, and we saw an article that you said that after decades of neoliberal ideas, the protection of society cannot be delegated in the invisible, let me do that, hand of the market. In your role in the trade unions, what concrete steps are the European trade unions taking directly to intervene in their unregulated markets, especially in the face of rising austerity across the European Union? Thanks.
Thank you very much, and it's a total delight to be here. It's an honor, and in a world of uncertainty, I can tell you from a trade union perspective, there is always one certainty, and that's the left. I want to thank you for all of the cooperation over the last couple of years, and it's a delight to be here, really. Thank you. So, democracy is certainly under pressure, and I think a lot of it's not easy to come after the previous panel too, I should say, because it was really strong interventions. But it's truly the case throughout Europe and globally that democracy is under pressure in a way that we couldn't imagine, I think, 30, 40 years ago. But I also believe that we are living in what is the long shadows of the neoliberal paradigm that has brought us all of this. The breakdown of public services, the breakdown of workers' rights, and the pressure on trade unions, and a lot of the pressure we see today is truly the long shadows of neoliberalism. What we can see today is also how that breakdown is feeding into the elites, the financial elites, bringing up, and how this marriage now into something I would call a sort of neo-fascism. And it's very interesting to listen to Peter Mertens when you described the Jalta meeting, and I think that was very much true also for the Bretton Woods meeting, never again. And yet here we are 80 years later again, having very similar discussions. And the question now is, how do we fight back? I mean, that's really the question of our time, how to fight back and win back democracy. I have a couple of ideas that I want to share with you. I'm not sure I have all of the answers. Whoever has the answers, please feel free to contact me, because I think we're all looking for some answers. I think we have some of the answers too. One of them is definitely to fight back austerity. Because what austerity does is that it hollows out our societies and our promises of keeping our societies together. It might be in housing, it might be in labor market relations, it might be anywhere. But austerity is truly hollowing out our future. And the omnibuses that are sent now throughout Europe is just making things worse, and is not doing any of the work that they should be doing, which is to rebuild and strengthen democracy and our societies again. So I think you definitely targeted one of the key issues there. Second thing I would like to mention is the absolute need to defend workers' rights, because I think wherever you see trade unions not being able to organize workplaces, to organize the working class, if you so want, you also see the far-right winning terrain. And workers' rights must be an absolute in this, and that's the right to organize, the right to bargain collectively, and to ensure that there is strong workers' rights. I also think that the European dimension is important here, because what we need is a Europe that can also deliver for people. And that's where I think that when we look at today's Europe, we need a Quality Jobs Act. But I also think we need to strengthen the European acquis and get also a stronger right to strike across borders, right to solidarity actions across national borders, because we have opened up for the capital to move across borders. Well, that means that our solidarity through strikes must also be across borders. So I think that's a key element as we move forward. Now, it's also a time and I think this is the very most important thing that we need to do, and that is to renew hope, a vision, a belief in the future. And to do that is key, because if we cannot manage to collect people around a better future, a more fair future, I think that the temptation to be dragged into the far right will be much stronger. And I know that you are doing a lot of work there. We are doing our work, and together we can do this. And now I have 11 seconds left, and I'm quite happy to manage. The discussion was semi-structured, and I was semi-structured as well. But thank you very much for inviting us.
Yeah, completely agree. Without hope, we can't do anything. And I think that we go out this Congress with the hope that we can win the future, and we should win the future. So now we make a jump, in this case to Greece, and we continue with Rena. So, so Rena,
first of all, from the sitting so high, I cannot see your clock. I'm too high to see your clock, so you're going to give me some more seconds.
So, Rena, at the time when austerity is deepening inequalities, eroding workers' rights, and weakening social cohesion across Europe, how can we, left and progressive forces, build a coordinated response that defends social justice and the interest of working people? I'm making also a question about your time as governor of Attica. I would like to ask you, how do you govern from the left without being crushed? And what is needed also in the future to build that broad front and platform that includes precarious workers, migrants, and small entrepreneurs, that all of us are victims of austerity? Thanks.
Thank you. I do think that we do know the answer all too well. I don't think that you expect from me to give you the answer. It's the responsibility to initiate action and policies in favor of working people and society lies with the left, lies actually with us. As always, in difficult times, the left makes the difference for the many, and this is not a flatter for Syriza government, this is not a flatter for our Congress. So, this is why, dear Daniel, dear all, I do believe that our Congress must mark the beginning of an outward-looking strategy to strengthen workers, collective processes, and social justice for fair and sustainable development through a broad social and political front. By saying and by proposing a front we can and must build together, I'm going to refer to, let's stick to three at least proposals. First proposal, we do believe that by strengthening working people's power through strong trade unions and collective bargaining, it's a great initial. Experience across Europe shows that where strong collective agreement exists, wages rise, productivity improves, and social cohesion is reinforced. We must support everywhere the right to organize, to strike, to collective action. Nothing, unfortunately, is guaranteed, as we commented, dear President. We see, for example, what is happening these days in France with the Macron-Le Cornu governments attempt to make May Day a working day. Second, by linking the fight against austerity with the struggle for a just green transition, and I'm going to say that these 2 days I missed the discussion for the green transition. I do think that we must say a few more words, at least. I try to be gentle. Because the current war in the Middle East proves the urgency of ending dependence on fossil fuels which drive the climate crisis. The climate crisis cannot become a pretext for new cuts or for imposing the cost of the green transition on the most vulnerable. We need public investment, strong welfare states, and green jobs with decent wages. The green transition will be socialist just